Bartholomew's Cobble sits on 329 acres in Sheffield, Massachusetts. Created by geologic upheavals when the Taconic and Berkshire Ranges were formed, this 100-foot-high bedrock outcropping introduces visitors to a rugged and exotic landscape that also supports 800 species of plants while offering terrific mountain vistas. And to tell us more about what a cobble really is Rennie Wendell, Conservation Ranger.
So welcome to Bartholomew's Cobble. So a cobble, that's what we're standing in front of right now, is a big rocky outcropping of bedrock, exposed bedrock, not like a drumlin, like a glacial deposit. This actually was thrust up when the mountains were thrust up around here. They're kind of rounded in nature, cobbles, generally under 100 feet, so too small to be considered a hill or a mountain. And they kind of stand alone, so they're not kind of any part of any mountain chain proper. This one kind of stands a little bit apart from the last mountain on the end of this mountain chain. So, and this is the cobble.
We'll introduce you to the natural environment of one of the nation's most outstanding concentrations of native flora. The trail's geology reveals a story of equal significance. Look for numbered posts on both sides of the trail, which designate points of special interest. We will highlight a few of these points of interest for you. The trail is an easy walk, about a half a mile in length. Walking time is around 45 minutes. Don't forget, as in all natural areas, plants, rocks, and animals should be left undisturbed for everyone to observe and enjoy. For this tour, we'll be taking the Ledges Trail, and one of our first stops along this trail is a small cave at the back of the cliff, which was formed by the displacement of a huge block of rock, possibly by earthquake or glacial activity. Smaller, fallen boulders along the trail may have been slowly loosened from the cliff over time. As water seeps into cracks, it freezes and expands, moving the rocks a little at a time until they are finally dislodged. Such weathering is among the most potent forces in the gradual erosion of mountains. This ledge is composed of two kinds of rock, marble and quartzite. Each contributes in a different way to making the cobble unique as a natural rock garden. The marble, a recrystallized limestone, is relatively soft. It dissolves readily, releasing lime, an important plant food. The ferns growing here in the shady pockets formed by the dissolving marble are species that thrive in such an alkaline soil habitat. And more with this is Rennie.
So these are the cobbles, all you see around us, these big rocky outcroppings. And if we were 500 million years ago, if we were here when these rocks were being formed, we would have been on the remains of an old coral reef. This whole southern Vermont area through the Berkshires and into Connecticut, when we were part of a big supercontinent, was a coral reef. So what you're seeing are the remains of a coral reef and then the associated sand that was part of that reef. Of course, one of the mountain building orogenies over here thrust these cobbles up, and then the limestone now is metamorphosized into a marble, and then that sandstone's quartzite. And the crazy thing about the two are one's limestone's really limey, alkaline, and the quartzite is really acidic. So we have this amazing variety of soil types here, from everything from real alkaline to real acidic. So much so that the plant life here in this little tiny acres, this 60 acres, our original 60 acres, in the 70s was designated as a National Natural Landmark by the National Park Service. When the guy came out in 1971 to give us the award, he compared our original 60 acres to 60,000 acres of Mount Desert Isle up in Maine as having comparable biodiversity. Let me show you a little something here too. One of our biggest claim to fame is our ferns. 43 species of ferns and fern allies have been found on the property. One of the greatest concentrations in the country. This guy you're looking at right here, I won't even move where I'm standing. This is a wood fern right here of some sort. These guys that are past here are bulblet fern. Sometimes you can see they have little peas underneath that they reproduce with. This one here, right here tucked in, is a maidenhair spleenwort, a real cutie. And then these two are really neat, right? I was talking about the biodiversity. This is a common polypody. Now that's an acid-loving fern, so it's growing on the quartzite, but there's also marble mixed in there. So this is a lime-loving fern. This is a walking fern. And if you look underneath it, you can see the spore, right? But look at this tip. What this fern does is it dig its tip into that moss, generate another plant, and then walk right down the moss. Alright, so these right here are antlions. Really cool animals with big pinchers And what we're looking at right now is their trap. These are ant traps. At the bottom of this pit is the ant animal with pincers, and they're kind of really ugly looking beasts with backwards facing hairs. Really pretty cool animals. And they're in their larval state right now. They metamorphosize into a really nice damselfly looking kind of flying insect. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an ant in this trap. And if it works, right, what's going to happen is the ant's going to get in there, and it's sand, so he won't be able to get to the surface. All right? And if it works, the ant's going to throw his pinchers out at the bottom of the pit and try to throw sand on the ant to get him to the bottom. All right? So let's go for this one right here. You ready? That happened pretty quick, man.
The last and final stop for the Ledges Trail is the cave you see here, one of several at the Cobble that was probably the result of glacial action. The huge boulder that forms a roof, like the one we saw earlier, may have been torn loose from the Cobble ledge to the north and dumped here by the southward moving glacier. Visitors frequently ask if these caves were once inhabited. Although no surface indications of occupancy have been noted, evidence of Native American presence has been found elsewhere within the reservation, including the adjoining field on the west side of Weetog Road. It is quite likely, therefore, that nomadic tribes of Native Americans use small caves such as this from time to time, perhaps as temporary shelters during periods of severe weather. That concludes this portion of the Bartholomew's Cobble tour. There are many more things to see along the Ledges Trail, as well as Cedar Hill Trail, Craggy Knoll Trail, and Bailey Trail. If you are feeling more adventurous and want to do more, take a hike up Hurlburt's Hill at 1,050 feet, and there is a magnificent view to the north up the Housatonic River Valley. Or bring your own kayak, canoe, or better yet, speak with Rennie and take a very fun, relaxing, and informative river tour. Here you might see eagles, giant river spiders, beavers, turtles, various bird life, and even an occasional cow. We hope you have enjoyed our video guide to Bartholomew's Cobble. There are over 800 species of plants, 500 species of wildflowers, 100 species of trees, shrubs, and vines, and some 53 ferns and fern allies. A truly remarkable assemblage in a relatively concentrated area. The Cobble is also a paradise for marsh, meadow, river, and forest birds, as over 240 species have been recorded. There's truly something here for everyone.